Welcome, everybody. This is Greg Palmer, host of Finovate. We would have been doing this at Finovate Spring, but with COVID-19, that is no longer an option. But we are pleased to be able to share an interesting story of a fintech founder with you. Joining me today, we have Gibran Nicholas, the founder and CEO of Momentifi, who's going to be walking us through his platform. Again, you would have seen this on stage live at Finovate Spring, but we wanted to still make sure everybody was able to see what was going on. So Gibran, thank you so much for joining me today remotely, and thanks for taking the time to walk us through your technology.
Awesome. Well, I certainly appreciate you having me on the show, Greg, and looking forward to sharing some great info with the audience.
Excellent. Well, let's just go ahead and dive right in. So if you wouldn't mind starting with kind of a high-level overview of what Momentify is and why people should really be interested in what you guys are doing.
Well, thank you. I think what everyone's trying to figure out right now, Greg, is how do you grow revenue and maintain productivity in this environment while everyone's working remotely? And so what we do at Momentifi is we help banks, mortgage companies, financial institutions grow their revenue and get 5 times better response on all their client communications. And they do this in a way while their teams are working remotely, while each person on the team maintains personal privacy, and while everyone stays legally compliant.
Wow. All right, well, let's go ahead and take a look at how it all works. So go ahead and jump in, and if you wouldn't mind, give us a quick demo of everything that's going on.
Well, thank you. I'm going to take the perspective of John the lender, who wants to communicate with his clients on a human level. The stats are that if you send a text message to somebody, you'll get 5 times more response than sending an email. So he wants to send text messages while working remotely, and he gets a better response on video emails than generic emails. The problem, if you're in the financial industry, is that his compliance department, John Lender's compliance department, is breathing down his neck saying, listen, you're not really supposed to use your personal cell phone to send out text messages to people because we got to keep a record of it, right? So it's, according to CCPA, GDPR, all the data retention requirements that financial institutions have, it makes it more difficult to communicate, from one humans to another using a personal device. And so that's really what our app is designed to do. And so I'd like to take you to our app, Greg, and show you from John Lender's perspective. I'm pulling up the mobile app, and this is something that's available. The Momentifi app is available to Android users in the Google Play. It's available to iPhone users and Apple Store. And so what it does is it brings your contacts in from your CRM. So, John can sync all his contacts from the CRM that the bank is using, as well as all of his contacts from his phone. So I've got all my phone contacts in there. I've got all my CRM contacts. If I click on any of them and send them a text message or an email or a video, it's coming from my business phone number. So although it's on my personal mobile device, it's using a business phone number that we assign to everybody. It's a long code. It's not a short code. So it's an actual phone number with an area code. And it also syncs with your action items. So we have an API that not only syncs your contacts from the CRM, but also your action items and your to-do list. And so I can look at my to-do list for the day. I've got to call these 5 people, or I can just click on the first one, Betty the borrower, call her, send her a text message, email, or a video text. And so in this case, I want to send Betty a text message, and I can pick from the available templates that my marketing department has already approved, or I can customize a new message. I can say, hey Betty, it's John Lender. How's your virtual home search going? All right, so I'm sending this to Betty. And I plug my own number in there so you see what it looks like from Betty's standpoint. So I'm Betty the borrower, and I receive a text message on my phone from my lender. And so I don't have to download an app. I don't have to jump through hoops to communicate. I just basically use my native technology on my phone to receive a text message from my lender, and it's personalized, right? And so now I respond. I say, hey John, getting ready to make a virtual offer. Okay, so
So
now,
from Betty's standpoint, this is going to the same phone number she's always had for John, and from John's standpoint, this is his actual personal cell phone, right? This is all just coming through the same PC, just like he was sending a text to a friend or anything like that. He doesn't have any new equipment or anything like that he needs to get.
right, no new equipment, but it's using a business phone number. So
Okay,
this number up here that Betty's receiving the text message from is John's not his personal cell phone. So he maintains his privacy,
mhm.
but it's a business phone number that we assign to him using the app. Um, and so
Cool.
now when Betty responds, it goes to his business phone, which then forwards it to the app. And so you saw there that he received a push notification saying that that Betty just responded to his message, and he can basically reply and have the entire conversation right within the app. And so that's how he's communicating with his client.
Very cool.
So, one of the other things is that you can voice record notes and complete the action item, and then it pushes it back to your CRM. And so the stats are, Greg, that less than half of salespeople log into their CRM and use it to complete sales activities. So we're also solving that problem because the banks have probably spent millions of dollars on CRM technology, and less than half of the sales team is using it to actually complete sales activities. And this is very simple. So what we're going to do is record a note. I just spoke with Betty, and she decided to put an offer on a home, and we're going to follow up with her next week. And so I complete that note, I save it, I complete the action item, and right away it asks me, when do I want to follow up? And I can schedule a follow-up. I complete that, and then it pushes it back to my CRM with the voice note, and then it takes me to my next action item. So it's a really simple way of completing action items while you're on the go and while you're working remotely.
Well, and I love the idea too that you kind of close this loop between the compliance guys and the sales guys. Obviously, there's always going to be a little bit of conflict there. Salespeople want to move fast, they need to move fast. Compliance teams need people to move a little slower and to be really careful about how they communicate. And being able to put them both in a position where they can both be happy is something that's pretty unique. And I think that's one of the really cool pieces about this is that you enable these salespeople to go out and move as quickly as they want to, and then still keep the compliance folks happy.
Absolutely. I mean, the problem that you just mentioned, you just hit the nail right on the head. I mean, the salespeople want to go out there and make sales, and compliance seems to be tying their hands. But instead of telling that story, now the compliance department can go to them and say, listen, we're giving you a tool to make your life easier instead of trying to make your
Right.
life difficult. And, from the compliance standpoint, they're getting what they want at the same time.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. And so, I mean, obviously, this is a really quick little demo that we have time for here. But there are other aspects that you weren't able to show today. And I think it's probably worth taking some time to just quickly talk about some of the other pieces that you don't have time to really walk through. Can you give us a kind of a quick hits of some other use cases, some, oh, by the way, types of things that you might want to, or for people who might want to learn more?
Well, certainly. Thank you for that. I think that, one of the best things is that you can roll this out right away. I mean, it doesn't take it. I mean, it took us literally a year to build this. And because of our APIs, it's something that you can plug and play right within your current environment. It uses native, technology from the mobile phones, and you can roll it out relatively quickly and get an immediate ROI. So the buy versus build analysis becomes super clear. It makes more sense to take this off the shelf and use it the way it is instead of trying to build it yourself in this crunch timeline that we all have to deal with these days. So that's the first thing. The second is that we're finding that a lot of mortgage companies in particular and some financial institutions are giving it to their operations staff because it's the borrowers are quicker to respond to a text message than an email.
Hmm.
So if you're a loan processor and you need a document from a customer, sending them a text message is super quick. And what happens is you can iframe this directly into your existing CRM or your existing app if you already have one. So the whole text function is a standalone product that we have that you can just plug and play it into your existing CRM, just like I iframed it into my CRM here. You can iframe it into your CRM and give access to your operations team so that they can get quicker responses on document requests and things like that. So that's the other thing that you can do with it. And then finally, you can put together marketing campaigns and announcements and send group texts like to a large number of people. And especially during a crisis like the one we're all experiencing, it's super important to communicate timely information quickly. And you can do this using our technology. Instead of sending a one-to-one text message, you're sending it to all of your clients, whether it's 1,000 people or 10,000 people. You can communicate with them, obviously in compliance with all the FTC regulations, but you can use it for marketing campaigns and announcements as well.
Wow, that's really excellent. So, anybody who's interested in learning more, there's quite a bit, obviously, to discuss. How would somebody go about contacting you? There we go. I see the contact information up there on the screen. And I guess that now it's time for kind of just closing thoughts. Anything just to kind of draw a line under everything that you were able to show us today.
Well, I think the key is one of the things that you mentioned, which is making compliance happy at the same time as making the sales team happy. And that's really the one takeaway. If there's anything that you can walk away from this demo is, here's a tool. It's a compliance tool that's disguised as a sales tool, or it's a sales tool disguised as a compliance tool. So it's really got two faces, and it's really a powerful way of enabling your team to maintain the human connection, especially during these crazy times that we're all finding ourselves in.
Yeah. So anybody out there who's watching this and thinking, I can't possibly make my compliance team and my sales team happy at the same time, I would encourage you, look Gibran up. Go ahead. Like give him a chance to prove it, because I've taken a look at the technology and it's pretty compelling. Well, Gibran, thank you so much for joining us. And sorry again, we weren't able to do this at Finovate Spring Live, but look forward to having you on stage whenever we are allowed to do in-person Finovate events again. And in the meantime, it's been a real pleasure chatting with you today and walking through your technology.
Awesome. I appreciate it. And I appreciate everything you do, Greg, and your team does at Finovate. We're all in this together. And thanks so much for helping us get the word out.
You're very welcome.